A chippy night in the NBA, a couple of blowouts, a couple of ejections, and Luka Doncic making history. It's all right now on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night, tipping off now.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on this run here without Jake Madison because he's off on his honeymoon. He got married over the weekend. So I'm here with Danny Cunningham of Locked On Cavs. I'm John Karalis from Locked On Celtics. Welcoming you aboard. Danny, how you feeling, man?
I am great. It was a small slate on Tuesday, but what we missed out on in close game, we made up with fireworks, certainly.
That's right, man. 3 games, 3 segments, 1 game per segment. Today's show is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to finish the show with Hawks Wizards. We're going to get to the middle of the show in a minute with Magic Sixers. That featured an ejection. Lakers Clippers also featured an ejection. It also featured Luka Doncic making history. Let's get right to it with the Locked On Lakers take.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers get a 135-118 win over the Clippers. They have won their group in cup play, advancing to the next round. Big night for the Lakers stars, 31 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals for Austin Reaves. LeBron James, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, easily his most effective, most assertive game since returning from the bout with sciatica. And Luka Doncic, 43 points, 9 rebounds, 13 assists, his 7th regular season 40-point game as a Laker, past Magic Johnson on the all-time list for 40-point games for the Lakers. This is also just his 41st Lakers regular season game, period. Amazing. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you're watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, I just can't. I just can never understand why he is a Laker. I just can't do it. I don't get it.
It will never make sense to me,
But
it's the reality that we live in. And John, he was awesome in this game. And I don't know whether or not I want to be more impressed with how well Luka played on Tuesday night, how efficient both LeBron and Austin Reaves were as his sidekicks, or how bad the Clippers were defensively. Like a lot of this, it looked like it was so easy for the Lakers. And like if LeBron and Reaves and Luka can play at the efficiency that they played at on Tuesday night, this is a team that is going to be almost impossible to beat. Like that is a team capable of winning the finals. But I do wonder what had more to do with the efficiency of the Lakers. Was it those guys just being awesome, or was it this is just a bad Clippers defense right now, man?
So I think the Lakers definitely look good. And, you not only do they look good, but the way that the rotations are shaking out, I like those. Starting the fourth quarter with LeBron and Austin Reaves was, that's how that's been going, and it's working. And that gives Luka a chance to rest while the Lakers are still dangerous offensively on the floor. And then you throw Luka in there, and that really supercharged what they were doing. But there were a couple of plays there. There was one in particular that it didn't even end on a basket, but it was just the way the guys were cutting and the little passes that they were throwing. It looked like a step away from the Harlem Globetrotters. And that has to be a product of how bad the Clippers defense is. You don't kind of like prance through an offense looking like that against just any NBA team. You don't do that against a good defense. So I think Lakers fans are going to look at this and be like, wow, this is great. We're getting LeBron, we're getting LeBron, the real LeBron James. You know, you got Austin Reaves looking great. You got Luka at the peak of his powers, and it looks amazing. The Clippers defense, it's just so bad that you can't just say this is what we look like now. I have to see it against better competition.
Right. And I mean, the Clippers came into this game with the 25th defense in basketball, according to the NBA's defensive rating metric. Like, and their defense, they were allowing 119.2 points per 100 possessions. And I get it. Kawhi Leonard missed 3 weeks with that foot ankle sprain, whatever we're going to call it. And they've not necessarily been a group that's been whole, but they have been a group that has looked old. And going into the season, I thought with the Clippers, okay, they're not going to be a team that's going to be racing out to 55 plus wins. Like, they're not going to be a top 3 seed in the West, but if they get to the playoffs, maybe they finish 4th, maybe they finish 5th. Like, they're going to be a tough out for somebody. They're going to be a team because we just saw almost this exact group take the Denver Nuggets to 7 games last spring in the first round of the playoffs. Like, that was a team, and they got old in the midst of a summer, right? Like, this group just cannot keep up anymore. They play too slow. They can't play good enough defense. Like, I am looking at the Clippers, and yes, I understand they have not had very many games with their ideal starting 5 intact. I totally get that. I saw the first one of them on Sunday when they were in Cleveland facing the Cavs. But even then, man, like, this just does not look like anything that's even close to a playoff team right now. James Harden's been good. Kawhi Leonard has been good in his 2 games back. But everything else other than Ivica Zubac is just bad.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to sum it up. I mean, I'm watching this and I'm like, Kawhi is old. Harden is old. You know, you got Chris Paul out there. He's old. Nick Batum is old. LeBron on the other side, you know, you're like looking at all of these, like, oh, this is like a grandpa game, but so many of those names are on the Clipper side. I don't know. I don't think there's much to salvage from the Clipper season at this point. This, where are they they are playing teams still? Where are they?
They are 5-13, John.
5-13. I'm like, it's weird to look all the way down. They're tied with the Sacramento Kings. You know, Sacramento Kings, by the way, had a nice win recently. Your percentage points behind the Utah Jazz. At this point, you're 18 games in. You're in the West. The Clippers season is over. The Clippers season is done. Like, they're not making any runs. What are you going to do? You're going to get into the play-in? So what? So you can face the Thunder or the Nuggets in the first? No.
But John, we need them to make the play-in. Like, just as a basketball society, we need them to find a way into the playoffs.
Because OKC has their pick.
OKC has their pick and there's no protections on it. Like, if the Clippers get into the playoffs, OKC will end up getting like the 16th pick in a very good draft. If the Clippers continue along down this path that they're on right now, OKC is going to get a very, very good pick in a draft that has tons of top end talent. And we've already seen how well, and no front office is 100% in that area, of course, but we've seen them have some significant hits. And in this draft, if they're going to have another top 5 pick, which, listen, it is November 26th right now as we're talking about this. So I understand that things can change. And just because the Clippers stink now doesn't mean they will forever. Although I do think they will forever for the rest of the season. I think they are stinky. Like, these things can change, but I almost feel like for once, everybody in the NBA is going to actually be rooting for the Clippers, not because anyone cares about what the Clippers do, but the outcome, the impact of them having a bad season league wide is, I think, going to be uniquely felt.
Yeah, it does. It does raise some interesting, and this will be for a different podcast. I wonder if the league wants that. I wonder if the league, like, if the Thunder get that pick and, you know, that becomes a great pick, what are you going to do with it? Where do you hold on to that amazing player? What do you do with the great players that you have now? Maybe the league wants the OKC Thunder to have their little run and then redistribute their talent around the, you know, and then start over again. I don't know. That's a whole different thing. We're talking about this game. That's something for the afternoon show. Any other thoughts about the Lakers? Because I don't know if we're at a point where we can fully digest. Are they really the second seed in the West when all is said and done? I know the Rockets have something to say about it. Victor Wembanyama, when he's back, will have something to say about it. The Timberwolves, if they can ever figure out their fourth quarter stuff, will have a say about it. Where do the Lakers land in all of this? What did we see in this game that can tell
So
us?
I think from a Lakers perspective, the thing that was the most encouraging, because like these types of games are what I expect out of Luka Doncic. So I don't come away from this impressed. Oh, Luka just had this great night, because that's who he is. I was really impressed with the way LeBron looked, right? Coming off of the injury that cost him the first however many games of the season, I think like the first 13 or 14 games of the season. The fact that LeBron is never going to look like prime LeBron again, but I thought he looked good enough, right? I thought that he looked considerably better than when he made his season debut. And I don't think that he's anywhere near 100% in terms of his conditioning right now either. I think that still has a way to go before he gets to a point where he's happy with where he is physically, certainly, and where the Lakers are happy with where he is. But I thought that he looked the part really for the first time this season. And I think if he can continue along this path of getting a little bit stronger, a little bit in better basketball shape, because you can't really do that while you're dealing with the injury he was going through, I think that's a really good sign. And the fact that the Lakers are 13-4, given that they've played so much of the season without LeBron, they've spent a lot of time on the road already. Like, I do think, while I don't necessarily look at them as a true championship contender, I think the Lakers are in a very, very, very good spot for a team that should be a top 4 team in the West right now.
Top 4 sounds right. Shout out to Jackson Hayes for coming to Luka Doncic's defense and getting Chris Dunn ejected. A little chippiness there. So that's always fun. I think my last word is Luka's relationship with all these guys, especially his relationship with Austin Reaves, is kind of fun to watch. Unless you're a Mavericks fan. All right, so we had that chippiness. We had an ejection in the Orlando game, a blowout there, a blowout in the third segment as well. But we'll get to those when we come back here on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast. Today's show is brought to you by GameTime. Basketball season is here. We're watching these cup games, and nothing beats being in the arena for these games. Let's be real, though. Getting tickets can be a total headache. You're waiting in queues. You get surprise fees. The prices jump out right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated. GameTime is a life hack for getting NBA tickets fast, easy, stress-free. I have used GameTime plenty of times, so I'm not eligible for this deal I'm going to give you, but I've used it. It's super easy. Get my tickets fast. The best part to me, a couple of things. When you open up the app, you can see the red, the yellow, the green. It tells you where the good deals, the bad deals are. You click on the green section, obviously. If you want to do a zone deal, you can just pick that section. They will select the tickets. You can save big there. You can click on the seats. It'll give you the seat view. The price that you see is the price that you pay. So it's super simple. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I've already used this long time ago. You, a new customer, you can use that $20 off your first purchase with the code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED. It's the name of this podcast, Locked On NBA. You get $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network on the planet. You, the everydayers, make this possible, so thank you so, so much. We've got a Locked On for every show, every team in every sport. So go check it out, especially the teams that played tonight. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Second game of the night, monster blowout. The Magic 144-103.
Some great games tonight, John.
I'm sorry. 144-103 winners over the 76ers. Oh my God, what happened in this game? Well, let's start with Philip Rossman-Reich from Locked On Magic.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, as the Orlando Magic steamroll the Philadelphia 76ers, winning by 41 points, putting themselves in first place in the NBA Cup standings, and giving themselves a 28-point cushion to win the wild card, essentially advancing in the NBA Cup, provided they don't get blown out like this on Friday in Detroit. This was a record-setting night for the Orlando Magic. 51 points in the second quarter sets a franchise record for most points in a quarter. 86 points in the first half sets a franchise record for points in a first half. Anthony Black scored 20 of his career high 31 points in that second quarter when the Magic ran away. And this quickly has become about how the Orlando Magic have become, I'm not joking here, one of the best offensive teams in the league. They entered this game 10th in the league in offensive rating. They have scored 120 points in 5 consecutive games, setting a franchise record. They have scored 120 points more times, I believe, this season than they did all of last season. If not, it sounds believable, doesn't it? The Magic have found a rhythm on offense. They're moving the ball. They're getting out in transition. They're one of the best teams in transition in the league, and they put that on full display against the Sixers. They were defending, getting stops throughout that second quarter, and once the shots started to fall, which they did not in the first quarter, it was game over against the undermanned Sixers. The Magic are continuing to prove that they do have the pieces that everyone thought they had at the beginning of the season. They're putting them all together, and now they get a big challenge on Friday in the Group B championship game against the Detroit Pistons on the road. A chance to really make a statement, whether Detroit's on that winning streak or not at that point. A chance to make a major statement that this is a player in the Eastern Conference.
He is happy. He is happy.
Do you think he thinks it's a dream? Like, do you think that he's going to wake up and say, did I really make that short for Locked On NBA Game Night about the Magic scoring 144 points in a game?
One of the best offenses, the Magic, who started as like, oh my God, do they understand the ball's supposed to go in the hole? They are now one of the best offenses around. They can put up some points now, which is interesting. Let's get to that in a second because we got the other side of the coin here. Mark Frazetta from Locked On Sixers.
The Sixers take their biggest loss of the season, a 144-103 loss to the Paolo Banchero-less Orlando Magic. Couple of things from the game throughout this season. When we've watched the Sixers lose, we've been able to point to turnovers or missed shots or lack of rebounding or whatever. This was just lack of everything. The Sixers were just god-awful in this game, including getting blown out in the second quarter 51-25 against the Magic. Number 2, some more injury news for the Sixers. Trendon Watford left the game after just 11 minutes. He had an adductor injury. We'll see how long he's going to miss. Tyrese Maxey doesn't play the fourth quarter. Thank you, Nick Nurse, for acknowledging this was a blowout and giving Maxey at least a quarter off of playing basketball. And then the only Sixer that really showed fight was a guy who literally tried to fight someone. Andre Drummond got teed up in the second quarter, raised his hands up there against Wendell Carter. Both ended up getting technical fouls. And then later, Jalen Suggs gets thrown out.
We'll finish his thought. Jalen Suggs gets thrown out for escalating. That was a fun little moment. Yeah.
In a game that did not have much else from a Sixers standpoint. Like at first I thought Andre Drummond was joking. And Wendell Carter's his eyes just lit up. Like they showed the replay on Peacock, and his eyes got so big. And it's like, oh, this might be for real, because I thought when Andre Drummond did it, he was just joking. And then Jalen Suggs comes in and he escalates the situation, so he gets 2 technical fouls. Suggs was ecstatic to leave the floor. Like he was pumping his fist, he was waving a towel. I think he threw his jersey into the crowd on his way off the floor.
Yeah.
So I think he was thrilled more than anything that the game was already over and he didn't have to play anymore. Like that could have been it too.
Yeah, it's great.
But overall, bad night for Philly.
Bad night for Philly. But you know what? I'm going to say good night for Philly because Tyrese Maxey was only limited to 32 minutes. And that dude's been playing like 45 minutes a game. It feels like they're running him into the ground. And I don't know if it's starting to show up a little bit. But, I'm concerned. I know he's young and all that stuff. I'm just going to say I'm concerned that Tyrese Maxey's playing a lot of minutes for the Sixers. But let's talk about the Magic.
Yes, let's. Because what did Philip say about the Magic? That they are now like essentially an offensive juggernaut, right? They scored 144 points in this game. They were fantastic. And he said, the last 5 games, they've scored 120 or more, which I would have to imagine. I don't know how old Philip is, but I think this is the first time in his life that's ever happened. So let's head on back over the past 7 games or 6 games to November 14th. That's kind of when the streak started, right? Since that date, the Orlando Magic, John, have an offensive rating of 120.9, which is 7th best in basketball. Prior to that date, the Orlando Magic were 18th in offense in the NBA with an offensive rating of around 114. Do you know what happened on November 12th?
You're going to make me say it after setting all of that up? You're going to make me say?
Well, you don't have to answer. I will answer my own question. Paolo Banchero got hurt. And this is an example. And I know that this game got out of hand, and it's a game where you want to run up the score because the point differential matters. And like maybe that is part of this conversation. But the Orlando Magic have been so much better offensively without Paolo Banchero, the guy that is their max player, the guy that is the best player on the roster. They've been a much better offense without him in it. Like, he's not clogging things up. He's not slowing things down. They're playing a different style of basketball. Like, we don't see a guy like Anthony Black be able to go out and have the night that he had because he was awesome. Like, the reason why Orlando really pulled away in the second quarter is because Anthony Black had 20 points in the second quarter. He had 27 points at halftime, which was a career high for him. We don't see that type of stuff. We don't see the Orlando Magic playing this offensive style of basketball when Paolo is in the lineup. And I think, listen, and I get it, it's a small sample size, but I'm not going to come out and say the Magic are better without Paolo Banchero, but I am thinking about whether or not the Orlando Magic are better without Paolo Banchero. We have been, and I know we'll talk about the Hawks coming up in a minute, but like, as a basketball community, we've been having this conversation because the Hawks, who were terrible tonight, have been good without Trae Young. Is Atlanta better without Trae? When I really think the conversation should be, is Orlando better without Paolo?
I'm not ready to go there, but the one element to this that makes me not dismiss it out of hand is that the league is playing faster as a whole. And I think that's where this year it becomes a more valid question than it would have in the past. The league is playing faster. Everybody, the pace is up, and the Magic are still one of the slowest teams. And not just the slow team, they are not one to get out into transition with Paolo. So I don't know. You can hear the hesitance in my voice because I don't want to go there. Because you know what, Danny, the alternative is that the Magic have reached their ceiling already. That's the alternative. And I don't want to go there yet with Orlando. I don't know.
I think the story of Orlando's season is going to be, what do they look like when Paolo gets back? Is he going to be able to adjust to playing a little bit of a different style of basketball that maybe involves a little bit less of him taking 17 footers or even getting to the free throw line, which is something that he's been good at since the day he entered the league. But I think if you're going to play the style of basketball that Paolo Banchero has preferred to play since he's been in the NBA, you need to be a Jason Tatum type talent. And Tatum, I do think, is a better passer than Banchero. And I think that is one of the things that separates them too. And I mean, he's overall just a better player. And you know, he's in the prime of his career, so you would expect that. And maybe Paolo can get there. I don't know. I have my doubts. But the fact that Tatum is a better playmaker, a better decision maker, and a better passer kind of makes him being able to have the basketball and make those decisions a much more palatable offensive like centerpiece as opposed to what Paolo is right now. So that's kind of what whenever he gets back from this groin injury, the style of basketball they play with him on the floor is going to be the thing that tells the story of their season.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. I don't think there's anything to say about the Sixers. They turned the ball over 21 times. They gave up 36 points off those turnovers. They were hot garbage in this game. And there's really not much to talk about from the Sixers side. So we'll just leave it at that. And we'll come back and we'll talk about the Atlanta Hawks having a similar performance as the Sixers and the Wizards doing something they've never done before. That's next on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's show is brought to you by Drip Drop. When you are hydrated, everything just feels better, works better, focus, energy, mood, your skin. That's why I use Drip Drop. It's in my cup every time I do a podcast. It's in my cup when I go work out. That is going to get me through, keep me hydrated, no matter what my day looks like. This is not your average sports drink. 3 times the electrolytes, half the sugar, plus sugar-free options. So this is what medical professionals, firefighters, 90% of top college and pro teams use. I love Drip Drop. I love the sugar-free watermelon because I'm trying to cut some sugar out of my diet, but I need to stay hydrated. It's great tasting. It's my go-to. I'll use it after a workout. I'll use it after a weekend. Anytime I just want to be hydrated and feel good. It's a non-negotiable, and Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly just better overall. Right now, Drip Drop is offering you 20% off your first order. You got to go to dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off. Stock up now. Keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcasting network on the planet. Go make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd has you covered. If you're playing fantasy basketball and not listening to Josh, you are not serious about winning. He's got you covered with everything you need to know. Ads, drops, trades, everything. Check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball wherever you got Locked On NBA Game Night. All right, let's wrap this up on another one of these blowouts. The Washington Wizards, of all teams, the Wizards, who have never won an NBA Cup game until this one. 132-113 winners over the Hawks in a game that was not that close. Let's go to the vanquished. Brad Rowland of Locked On Hawks for his take.
Hello, friends. My name is Brad Rowland. I'm the host of the Locked On Hawks podcast, and the Hawks had quite a night at the office in a negative way on this Tuesday, losing to the Washington Wizards in D.C. by 19 points. And quite frankly, it wasn't that close. Yes, the previously 1-15 Washington Wizards on a 14-game losing streak throttled the Hawks, and the Hawks were down 18-2 to begin this game. They're down by 29 points in the first quarter, down by as many as 33, and then honestly, it was 28 with 3 minutes to go, and then they had a fake catch-up at the end to get to 19. The Hawks just were a disaster in this game all the way across the board. Defensively, yes, there was some sky-high, red-hot shooting from the Wizards, and CJ McCollum had 10 threes in the game. But part of that was bad defense as well. The Hawks allowed anything the Wizards wanted to at the rim. They turned the ball over on offense. They missed all the shots early on in this game. Once they found it, it was too late. It was overall just a disastrous performance from the Hawks. Their NBA Cup dreams are now dead as well. And hopefully, the only takeaway really is that it's one game of 82. It's the only positive takeaway. Other than that, it was quite the ugly night for the Hawks, and one that they will certainly want to flush as soon as possible. We'll get into all the big picture and more on Locked On Hawks.
I don't know, man. Feels like the Hawks coming in, they were feeling pretty good about themselves. 10.5-point favorites. You're playing a team that, like you said, 14-game losing streak. This smacks of, we're feeling good. They're terrible. We're just going to waltz right through this. And they just got smacked in the face.
I think this game, John, serves as a reminder that even though the Washington Wizards are just objectively a terrible basketball team and one that I think is going to struggle to win 20 games this year, there's still talented guys on that roster, and you can't go into a game and, I don't know what shoot around looked like for the Hawks on Tuesday morning, or I don't know what their preparation was like heading into this game, but you can't go into a game and just think, yeah, this team's going to roll over, especially when you are a team that Atlanta is a talented basketball team, but they're not some juggernaut, right? If you're Oklahoma City, you can probably walk into Washington and say, we really don't care about this one, and still find a way to get a win because you're that much better than them. And the Hawks have been playing good basketball, but they're not the type of team that can do that. And I thought early on in this game, the Hawks didn't have like a bad offensive process. I thought they missed some good shots, and then I thought it affected their defense. And then the Wizards just didn't miss shots. And it really snowballed from there. Next thing you know, they're down by like 25 points in the first half. It's just like, how did we get here? I was watching this game. I was sitting on the couch with my wife, who she's a big Cavs fan, but she doesn't necessarily watch a ton of other games. She knows enough to know the Wizards are bad. And she looks up from watching Instagram Reels on her phone. She goes, wait, is this actually happening? Like, are the Wizards winning this game by this much? She knows enough to know that is just like an absurd thing, but it all started because Atlanta missed some shots and they decided, you know what, we're just not going to care. And maybe we'll find a way. And that's what happens.
They were 3 of 14 in the first quarter from three. The Wizards were 8 of 11, 4 of 4 from CJ McCollum, 4 of 5 from Corey Kispert. These were, talk about heaters of, all-time heaters. These guys came in making everything. And this is the downside when you're facing a team like this that has guys that can shoot. Kispert can shoot. McCollum, people forget about him, but it's not like he forgot how to shoot. And meanwhile, on the other side, you've got guys that have been playing well for Atlanta that just stinkers. Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels, offensive, just nothings in these games. They combined for, what's that, 18, 20. They combined for 26 points. CJ McCollum had 46. Like, that's just not going to be good enough. So, yeah, I think you take a team lightly, you have a tough shooting start, they catch fire right away, and you get that recipe.
So I think from a Wizards perspective, because maybe the Hawks just had a bad night, and like teams are going to have stinkers, and this was a bad team to have a stinker against because a loss to the Wizards is never going to look good for anybody. But if you're a Wizards fan, I think aside from the hot shooting, because what CJ McCollum is for this team just doesn't matter for the future of Washington. Like the next time the Wizards are good, he's not going to be there. Corey Kispert maybe will be, maybe not. But the game Alex Sarr had against Atlanta, I thought that was a real bright spot. He finished with 27 points on 11 of 15, had 11 rebounds. I think that so far to start this year, and as young players are, he's going to be a little bit up and down. But he's a guy that the few times I have watched Washington, and I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched every single Wizards game because I don't think anyone should do that for their own mental health. But he's a guy that I think has made a big jump from who he was as a rookie to who he is this year. And I think that is a really, really good sign. And I think that this game against Atlanta, you can look at as, okay, that's a good team. He had a very good game against them. And yeah, you'll be happy your team won. But I think the thing, if you're a Wizards fan, you should be happiest with is Alex Sarr looked the part. And for him to do that in games against good teams, I think is a really good sign for his future.
Well, I saw him drop 31 against the Celtics. He's had multiple 30-point games. He's had multiple double-digit rebound games. He's averaging 18 points. I think that's a great point. Like you're looking for the cornerstone pieces. And you mentioned OKC before about what they could do walking into an arena, but they were the Wizards at one point. And what you're doing as Washington, and look, just to shout out my Emerson basketball, Sam Presti, you got that connection in Washington too. So you're following kind of a similar pattern with their plan to figure out, okay, who do we have? Who do we not? What guys can we trade? And don't be afraid to stink for a little while in order to find your guy. Because once you find your guy, which they did with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, then everything comes together so quickly. So yeah, that's, I think, what you're looking for in Washington. It's not Alex Sarr, I don't think, but he's part of the plan. He's part of the plan.
Right. Like they Alex Sarr, the next time the Wizards win a playoff series, Alex Sarr is probably not going to be the best player that Washington has. But can Alex Sarr be on that team? I certainly think that's possible. Like, I don't think that is something that's out of the realm of possibility. Now, in order for that to happen, they probably need a little bit of lottery luck, and they need somebody that they draft high in this next spring's NBA draft to hit in a very, very big way. But he, to me, looks like somebody that can be a winning player, somebody that if he's your second or third best player, when he gets to the peak of his powers, you could be a pretty good team. And I think that what we have seen so far from him this year and what we certainly saw from him on Tuesday night point to him trending in that direction.
The joke is that the next time the Wizards win a playoff series, Alex Sarr will be back for his number to be retired. But no, look, I joke. I hope the Wizards get better soon. This whole financial system, this whole second apron stuff is designed to make the Wizards' pain go away sooner rather than later. We'll see after this draft run if they start playing that game. So shout out to Will Dawkins, my Emerson guy over there at Washington.
Just Emerson guys all around, man.
We're everywhere. So all right. Well, with my little plug, my Emerson plug, we'll wrap it up there and say thank you for tuning into Locked On NBA Game Night. This show is free and available everywhere, so check it out. If you're not a subscriber, if you're not an everydayer, there's 2 podcasts on this feed. Listen to both of them, and we will be back tomorrow covering every game in the association here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Make sure you are subscribed, watch the show, listen to the show, tell everybody. We'll see you next time.